He'd faced war zones, led troops into gunfire, and sat across from world leaders in classified briefings. But none of that mattered when two small-town cops saw a tall black man in a hoodie walking out of a restaurant. Without warning, he was thrown against a cruiser, handcuffed and humiliated. They didn't ask questions. They didn't check ID. They just assumed. What they didn't know? Their suspect was a decorated three-star general, one phone call away from the Pentagon. And when he made that call, their careers didn't just end. They imploded. Lieutenant General Marcus Bell had just returned from an international peacekeeping operation. Worn out but grounded in routine, he made a quick stop to pick up dinner for his wife before heading home. Dressed casually in jeans, a hoodie, and sneakers, he looked nothing like the high-ranking military official he was. No uniform, no medals, no entourage, just a man grabbing takeout. The neighborhood was quiet, just a sleepy strip mall off the interstate in Virginia. Bell's presence should have gone unnoticed, but in a society that still equates black with threat, a simple errand turned into a confrontation. As he exited the restaurant, bag in hand, two squad cars sped into the parking lot. Without explanation, two white officers approached with hands on their guns, yelling commands. Bell stood still, his training kicking in. He complied, calm and respectful. But it didn't matter. Within moments, they slammed him against their cruiser, locked handcuffs around his wrists, and began a search without any probable cause. They didn't run his plates. They didn't ask for ID. They didn't care to know who he was. And the worst part, this wasn't some tragic misunderstanding. This was routine for them.
Welcome to our channel. Here we share powerful stories about racism that inspire change. If you find our content meaningful, like this video. Subscribe for more eye-opening stories. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters. Thank you for being part of the change.
As the metal cuffs dug into his skin, General Bell sat silently in the back of the squad car. The officers paced outside, still not running his information, still laughing. A small crowd had gathered. Some whispered, some recorded. One woman looked on in disbelief. "Isn't that General Bell?" she muttered. But no one acted. Inside the car, Bell didn't panic. He'd been through worse. But something in him cracked, not from the pain or embarrassment, but from the bitter familiarity. For all his years of service, for all his stars and medals, he was still seen by some as nothing more than a suspicious black man. He cleared his throat and asked calmly, "May I make a call?" The younger officer scoffed. "To who, your lawyer?" "Number the Pentagon." They laughed. "Oh, you're with the Pentagon." "Sure, pal." Reluctantly, one handed him his phone. Bell made a single call. What the officers didn't realize was that Bell wasn't bluffing. In his role, he had direct access to top officials and rapid response units. Within 5 minutes, a black SUV rolled into the lot, followed by two more. Military police and a stern woman in a black suit stepped out. Her badge gleamed with a golden eagle crest. The officers froze as she approached, her voice sharp and commanding. "Uncuff him!" "Right now." The two officers stood paralyzed, suddenly aware of the storm they'd summoned. One stammered, "Ma'am, we thought—" She cut him off like a blade. "You thought nothing. You detained a decorated lieutenant general without cause, without ID verification, and violated multiple protocols in the process. You just humiliated a national hero because you couldn't see past your bias." They fumbled with the cuffs, hastily unlocking them with trembling hands. Bell stood up, rotated his bruised wrists, and looked at them. Not with rage, but with something worse. Disappointment. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. The Pentagon official handed him his bag of takeout. "We'll take care of this," she said softly. As they escorted him to the black SUV, the officers were left standing in a silent parking lot, careers unraveling in real time. Within 48 hours, they were suspended. Days later, dismissed. The department released a shaky public apology, but the footage had already gone viral. America had seen it, and the story hit hard. Not even a general is safe from racial profiling. General Bell declined every interview request. No press conference, no victory lap. Just a single haunting statement released by his office. My position protected me. But what about the millions who don't wear stars? Who speaks for them? The video became a rallying cry online. Activists and veterans alike demanded sweeping reforms in police training and racial bias. The general's silence spoke louder than outrage ever could. Behind closed doors, the Pentagon reviewed local police coordination policies, and several departments quietly reached out for de-escalation training. Bell returned to duty, but he carried a new burden, one not earned in battle, but at home. The respect he'd gained through decades of honorable service didn't matter in a parking lot under flashing lights. For all his command over troops and operations, he realized how fragile dignity can be when filtered through a lens of prejudice. But he wasn't broken. He'd survived war zones. Now he was fighting a quieter war, a war of perception, of justice, of systemic change. And as the nation replayed the video over and over, one unshakable truth rang out. Even the stars on a general's shoulders can't shield him from the shadow of racism.